really important that we begin to change the mindset of young people to know that your vote counts.
They don't understand that the legislative arm of government is actually a co-equal arm of government.
We have an incredible amount of potential.
Whatever it is I was doing, because of my personal DNA, it had to be of an international standard. Which is what, seriously speaking, is all about.
The world, they say, is a global village. Even more so now where, smartphones have reduced all of us to seeing the world here. So chances are that we are going to move to different parts of the world to try to actualize our different dreams. But there are challenges, obviously, that happens when you have to move away from home to earn an income or earn a living somewhere else. Differences of opinion that could result in conflict and all of that. The interesting thing is, in the studios today, I have two people who have experienced in one way or the other the difference, what can happen when you move away from home. One is a film producer, the other one is a pastor of sorts, a man of God, who has at some point in time, right here in Nigeria, has experienced what it means to live somewhere that is not your home. Now, at the end of the day, we want you to experience what it is like to live in peace. This is Seriously Speaking. I'll be back with my guest in a short while. Yes, welcome back. My guest, well, most of her adult life has been spent in the UK after being born there. But in recent times, she's come back home very, very particular about putting on film the experience of Nigerians who live in South Africa. In the past few months, we've heard all kinds of things about xenophobia and things like that. But it all begins with some people going to some other country, wanting to live a better life. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today, Ronke Macaulay.
Hello.
It's nice to have you.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing that I heard about your work before I met you. Because your work, and it's a first-time work for you on film and feature, isn't it?
Yes, this is my first solo production.
And what drove it? It's titled The Green
Passport in the Rainbow Nation.
It's very clear what it means, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. Sometimes people want me to expand. So I have like a subtitle, which is the story of Nigerians in South Africa.
You know, because, you do know that in recent times, the only thing we hear about Nigerians in South Africa is the result of the effort they made to go there, which is xenophobia, killing Nigerians and all of that. Was that what moved you to do your film?
In parts, but not totally, because I went to South Africa as a visitor, both on business and also for tourism.
That's 3 times before you did this movie.
I went several times. Yes. But I think by the second time, I was beginning to realize that there was a problem. There had been one xenophobia incident before this, but the last 2, the more recent ones, hadn't yet taken place. And there was no way of knowing for sure whether xenophobia attacks would continue. So the film was not really driven by the fact that, these xenophobia attacks were happening.
Yes.
It was driven more by the need to see what is the situation of Nigerians in South Africa? Why is there this perception about them? And, what's the backstory?
In other words, there was something about Nigerians living outside, living in South Africa. What did you notice those 3 times that you went? Did it treat you differently, or what is it?
Well, firstly, right from the airport, the Nigerian passport is viewed with, I wouldn't say suspicion.
But it turns out that their passport is green as well.
Yeah, that's just the surface, Nigerians, the South Africans go one way. The people who don't need visas, like the British and so on, go another way. And then you have the people coming from Nigeria who are in this endless queue, who now have to face a lot of questions, prove what they're doing there. This is after getting a visa. So that's the first stage. And then you get into the country, and obviously you have, to get accustomed to the way of life. You have to establish yourself, whether as a student or as a business person or whatever. And frankly speaking, Nigerians have it tough because there's a perception amongst many South Africans that Nigerians are trouble for some reason.
Is it a perception or it does happen?
Well, certainly there are stories, there are incidents. There's proof that Nigerians have been involved in crime, but that's not the whole story. There are Nigerians who are academics, who are medical people, who are students, who are business people, who are achieving great things in South Africa. And that's the story that I wanted to tell or to expose, to show the other side of the life of Nigerians in South Africa.
Would you experience that your own life experience have kind of formed wanting to do this? Because you've lived most of your life in the UK. And that has also happened to Nigerians who had to live in the UK, right? And, Does this have anything to do with what you're doing today? Did that experience help you in any way?
I've always had the mindset of looking at Nigerians in diaspora. You know, it's been a kind of a framework for my work in the past. So as a writer, I've always written about those sorts of stories, you know, cultural issues, social-cultural issues. And growing up in the UK, studying in the UK and working in the UK as a Nigerian, which I consider myself first and foremost, even though I was born there. I have a British passport, thank God, you know.
So you say thank God, so you can move across.
The British passport is very, very useful, I have to say.
Sadly.
Sadly, but one day the Nigerian passport will equally be, you know, able to open doors all over. Because, you know, Nigerians, we have a lot to offer wherever we are. In the UK, they finally accepted that Nigerians are, you know, they are part of the engine that drives that society. So it's time for the same story, the same narrative to be accepted elsewhere.
So tell me what it is about moving somewhere else and being perceived differently and having challenges because of that.
In South Africa?
Anywhere.
Okay. I'll use the example of South Africa because that's what the film is about. I've never lived in South Africa other than the period when I was a student at film school because I decided to go and study directing at my advanced age.
That's second chance.
Yes, or third or fourth or fifth, why not? You know, you go to a foreign country and first of all, you have to decide if you want to be a part of that country, don't behave as if you're still at home. I'm not saying that you should lose your culture.
Like when in Rome,
totally.
Do as the Romans
Yes, you have to. Because if you go around, you know, insisting on your way or the highway, then it's going to be the highway. If you really want to make an impact wherever you are, you have to find a balance between what you have to add, what you have to bring as added value as a Nigerian, and what you can inculcate from the society that will actually boost you and make you a better person, make you more of an achiever. So it's a balance.
So what kind of things did you discover with your film, for example? Because, I mean, first of all, you say going back with the crew. You were on one queue, your crew was another crew. I mean, on another queue, you know. What are the things that you discovered when you got there? Because this perception of Nigerians, how did it come out in the film? Well,
first of all, I mean, South Africans are very defensive about the issue.
Did you speak to any South Africans in the film?
Well, I did speak to a couple of South Africans. Obviously, the film is about Nigerians, so I didn't want, you know, to get a balance, it's nice to have the other side.
Yeah.
But really, mainly, I wanted Nigerians to have a voice. But speaking to South Africans, I was fortunate to get South Africans who actually know Nigerians closely and intimately, have worked with them, have been in church with them, so they were able to give the point of view from that perspective. But the South Africans who see Nigerians at one remove and don't really mingle with them, they don't have the opportunity to get to know that actually these people are not all that they say, that, you know, that people say that they are. They're not all that the media leads us to believe. And sadly, it's not just the people, you know, the average South African. At the level of leadership, you know, some of the politicians making certain controversial statements in South Africa, which, you know, when you have your leader, whether it's a king or a politician or, you know, making certain statements, the followers will tend to believe it. And I think that has been part of the problem that Nigerians have faced. They've been criminalized in some way. And no, they're not all criminals. In fact, the majority are not criminals.
So, but do you understand, I mean, okay, I'm asking you, do you understand the need for people to move from a place? Because I don't know if your film addressed that. Why do Nigerians even leave Nigeria in the first place?
Well, I did ask the people in the film. Some came as students, some came to find a new life, some came just for adventure. Nigerians, we are global citizens. We don't like to be kept in a box. We don't like to be kept in one place. If we have the opportunity, it's not just about running away, because some people leave Nigeria and they're very comfortable. You know, they leave, I should say, leave Nigeria in search of sometimes greener pastures.
And we shouldn't be crucified for that.
No, we shouldn't. As long as we're not a problem where we're going, as long as we're adding value and we're doing something that we can be proud of, I don't see why people are not free to go anywhere they want to. There are South Africans in Nigeria. I'm sure more South Africans would love to come to Nigeria.
So the question is, don't be a problem where you're going to.
Exactly.
And it's defining what becomes a problem.
Exactly.
So I want to take a break. I can bring my second guest on set because, I mean, he grew up largely as an adult in the area in Nigeria locally. Well, then when I come back, I'll share that story. We'll be back with my next guest on Seriously Speaking.